Welcome to Goalie's Pip Academy. Imagine being part of a secret meeting where a group of brave men decided to create a brand new country. These weren't superheroes with capes. They were real people who changed the world forever. Today we're going to meet the founding fathers of America. The brilliant, brave, and sometimes quirky men who built our nation from scratch. They fought against the most powerful king in the world, wrote documents we still follow today, and created a country where you get to have a say in how things are run. Get ready to travel back in time to meet these incredible Americans who weren't much taller than your teachers but had giant ideas that changed history forever. The year was 1776. America wasn't a country yet. It was made up of 13 colonies controlled by Great Britain and King George III. Britain kept imposing new taxes on the colonists after the French and Indian War ended in 1763. The colonists had to keep giving more and more money to Britain through taxes on paper, tea, and other goods, but they didn't get to vote for their leaders or make their own rules. This made the colonists really upset. They started saying, "No taxation without representation," which means if they had to pay taxes, they should have a say in government too. A group of brave and smart colonists decided it was time for a change. These men would later become known as the Founding Fathers of America. The most famous founding fathers include George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Benjamin Franklin, John Adams, Alexander Hamilton, James Madison, and John Hancock. Each of them brought different talents and ideas that helped shape our country. In the summer of 1776, the Founding Fathers met in Philadelphia at the Second Continental Congress. They debated whether to declare independence from Britain, which was a huge and dangerous decision. On July 4th, 1776, they approved the Declaration of Independence, a powerful document written mostly by Thomas Jefferson that explained why America needed to be free. When John Hancock signed the Declaration of Independence, he wrote his name extra large and said, "There, King George will be able to read that without his glasses." That's why today when someone asks for your John Hancock, they're asking for your signature. Now it's time for our first quiz, multiple choice question. Which document did the Founding Fathers approve on July 4th, 1776? A, the Constitution. B, the Declaration of Independence. C, the Bill of Rights. D, the Gettysburg Address.
Is your little one working on finding their words? You're not alone in this journey. At Goalie, we've developed a speech and language system to support early learners. Our goal? To help kids learn their first 50 words. Here's what makes Goalie special. Interactive apps designed by expert speech therapists. We make ad-free content like this one to support our learning, and our app for parents lets you track your child's progress. Every child develops at their own pace, and Goalie is here to provide that extra boost. Our system has already helped thousands of families across America to support their children's communication skills. Visit getgoalie.com today and use the code YouTube10 for 10% off your first purchase. Again, that's getgoalie.com to give your learner a boost in speech.
If you said B, the Declaration of Independence, then well done. That's right. The Founding Fathers approved this important document that told King George they wanted to be a free country. After declaring independence, the Founding Fathers faced a huge problem. They had to fight a war against Britain, which had the strongest army and navy in the world. George Washington became the commander of the Continental Army. He wasn't the most experienced general, but he was brave, honest, and never gave up, even when things looked really bad. The Revolutionary War lasted 8 long years. The American soldiers didn't have fancy uniforms or the best weapons. They often fought with empty stomachs and no shoes. The Revolutionary War officially ended with the Treaty of Paris in 1783, when Great Britain recognized American independence. Now the Founding Fathers had an even bigger job. They had to build a completely new country from scratch. At first, they created a government system called the Articles of Confederation, but it wasn't strong enough. The 13 states acted almost like separate countries. They had different money, different laws, and they often argued with each other. The Founding Fathers realized they needed a better plan. In 1787, James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and other Founding Fathers met again in Philadelphia for the Constitutional Convention. For 4 hot summer months, they debated and compromised to create the United States Constitution, the rulebook for America that we still follow today. James Madison took detailed notes during the entire convention and became known as the Father of the Constitution because he contributed so many important ideas. The Constitution created 3 branches of government: the legislative branch, Congress, that makes laws; the executive branch, the president, that carries out laws; and the judicial branch, the Supreme Court, that interprets laws. This system of checks and balances makes sure no single person gets too much power, not even the president. Okay, time for our second quiz. True or false? The U.S. Constitution created a system with 3 branches of government. If you said true, then well done. That's right. The Constitution established the legislative, executive, and judicial branches to share power and prevent any one part of government from becoming too powerful. After writing the Constitution, many Founding Fathers continued to serve the new nation. George Washington became the first president of the United States. He could have been president for life, but he stepped down after 2 terms, setting an important example that presidents aren't kings. John Adams became the 2nd president. Thomas Jefferson, who wrote the Declaration of Independence, became the 3rd president. Jefferson also founded the University of Virginia and doubled the size of the country through the Louisiana Purchase. Alexander Hamilton became the first Secretary of the Treasury and created America's financial system. He established the country's first national bank, created a plan to pay off war debts, and developed systems for taxes and trade that helped the young nation grow. Even though he was born in difficult circumstances on the Caribbean island of Nevis, Hamilton's brilliant mind and hard work helped him become one of the most important Founding Fathers. Today, his face is on the $10 bill, and there's even a popular Broadway musical about his life. James Madison went on to become the 4th president and is known as the father of the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution that protect your important freedoms, like freedom of speech, religion, and the right to a fair trial. The Founding Fathers weren't perfect people. Many owned slaves, including Washington and Jefferson, which contradicted their words about freedom and equality. It would take many more years and the work of brave Americans like Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, Harriet Tubman, and Martin Luther King Jr. to help America live up to the ideals the Founding Fathers wrote about. Today, we can see the legacy of the Founding Fathers all around us. Their ideas created the world's oldest written constitution that's still in use. Every time you vote in a school election, you're using the democratic principles they established. When you debate with friends about rules for a game, you're using the compromise skills they demonstrated at the Constitutional Convention. When you stand up for what's fair, you're showing the same courage they showed when they risked everything for freedom. Time for our last quiz. Multiple choice question. Who was the first president of the United States? A. Thomas Jefferson. B. John Adams. C. George Washington. D. Alexander Hamilton. If you said C, George Washington, then well done. That's right. George Washington became the first president of the United States. So the next time you see a quarter with Washington's face, a $5 bill with Lincoln, or learn about American history in school, remember that the United States began with a group of bold thinkers who dared to imagine a different kind of country, one where power belongs to the people. They weren't perfect, but they changed the world forever, and their ideas continue to inspire people fighting for freedom around the globe today. And who knows? Maybe one day, your ideas will change the world too. Keep dreaming big, stay curious, and always be brave enough to stand up for what's right. See you next time, explorers. Bye.
Is your little one working on finding their first words? You're not alone in this journey. At Goalie, we've developed a speech and language system to support early language learners. Our goal is to help kids learn their first 50 words. Here's what makes Goalie special. First is we have interactive apps designed by expert speech therapists. We make ad-free content like this to support learning. And lastly, our app for parents lets you track your child's progress. Every child develops at their own pace, and at Goalie, we're here to provide that extra boost. Our system has already helped thousands of families across America support their kids' communication needs. Visit getgoalie.com and use code YouTube10 for 10% off your first purchase. Again, that's getgoalie.com to give your learner a boost in speech.